Welcome to Skultuna Brassworks. Here we are in the beautiful nature where the foundry has been situated for over 400 years. Did you know that Skultuna is one of the oldest companies in the world? Lean back. Now I will take you through a tour through 4 centuries of kings, catastrophes, and gold shimmering brass. This is King Carl IX, the founder of Skultuna and known to be very strict. Here he is pulling the beard of the Bishop Claes Fleming to check out if he was really dead. The bishop owed the king a lot of money. The idea of a brass foundry in Skultuna was born out of hard economic fact. Sweden was in hard need for income because of its great debt to the Hanseatic League. A brass foundry was one of the early 17th century's most advanced industries. A refining of copper to brass would reduce the import, increase the export income, and therefore improve the nation's economy. King Carl IX sent this letter, 1607, to his local magistrate in Västerås with clear instructions to build a brass foundry at the ford in Skultuna.
I, King Carl, by the grace of God, King of Sweden, heir of the realm and Duke of Södermanland, Närke and Värmland, hereby acknowledge that we intend to build a brass foundry in Skultuna. This is done for good and for the best of the kingdom.
The location here in Skultuna was perfect. Here was a lot of timber to make wood and coal from and unlimited water to extract power from. It was also close to the port in Västerås, where the brass was shipped to Stockholm. It is also close to the copper mine in Falun, where the most important ingredients in brass, copper, were brought from. The other ingredients, zinc, had to be imported. It has not been easy to run the brass foundry in Skultuna. The legendary director C.J. Allerwalt built the mill after the second severe fire in 1780 that totally destroyed the buildings. The misfortunes were not over. In 1818, the whole mill floated away with the spring flood. The next catastrophe happened on the 29th of December 1913. The fire started in the factory, where the work started after Christmas. The fire marshal, Mr. Lundin, was leading the attempts to put out the fire. The local fire brigade went into action, and the workers lined up with baskets full of water trying to put out the fire. The fire brigade from Västerås was also called to Skultuna, but they got stuck in the snow halfway and came several hours too late. The resources proved too small in the end, and in less than 2 hours the buildings were in ruins. After the fire, over 200 of the 500 workers were laid off. The oldest parts of the foundries are these parts. Here you can still see the beautiful 18th century coal houses, where the coal was stored that needed to melt the metals with. The copper and zinc was then melted together here to form brass. Here we can also see a unique bridge that spans the Black Stream that uses so-called stone coffins that forms small houses filled with stone to form its bases. In the production, the work was divided into different workshops. Each one was run by a master craftsman. Master Jacob Johansen became the first leaseholder and a leader. He and his next 2 successors, as well as the foundry workers, were professionals. In time, Swedish master braziers were trained at Skultuna. In the whole factory, the work was done with great craftsmanship. This can be one of the reasons to Skultuna's survival throughout the centuries. The dressing shop manufactured all types of items from sheet brass, cauldrons, pots, bowls, candlesticks, wall plates, etc. The crown casting shop made mortals, bells, candlesticks and chandeliers. The manufacture of chandelier was considerable, both in terms of volume and artistic quality. The oldest known chandelier is in the Church of Our Lady in Enköping and is dated 1619. Assembling, packaging and polishing of chandelier is still going on in the factory in Skultuna. In the 19th century, Skultuna was by far the largest Swedish producer of manufactured household objects and ornaments in brass. Illustrated price lists and more efficient marketing increased sales. Skultuna's history is since the founding by King Carl IX closely connected to the kings of Sweden. Skultuna is a royal warrant holder, and the foundry has been visited by a long list of Swedish monarchs. This is Crown Prince Gustav Adolf visiting Skultuna at the 300-year celebrations. King Carl Gustav XVI visited Skultuna for the 375-year celebrations in 1982 and raced against the present owner at that time, Ian Wachtmeister. 400-year celebrations in 2007 were celebrated on a large scale with salutes, County Governor Mats Svegfors, and a blessing from the Bishop of Västerås for the coming 400 years. Crown Princess Victoria also visited Skultuna during the 400-year celebrations in 2007, and she inaugurated this memorial of the founder, King Carl IX. This metal plate is done by the master engraver Ernst Nordin, who is also known for having done the engraving for the Swedish 1 and 10 crown coins. The spirit of King Carl IX showed up at this time as well. For 400 years, Skultuna has produced items for both grand occasions and everyday use. Skultuna has often been a pioneer in Swedish design. In 1896, Carl Hjalmar Norrström was hired as a designer for Skultuna, and during his time, Skultuna was awarded a number of international design awards. Among these, a magnificent baptismal font won a gold medal at the World Fair in Stockholm in 1897 and in Paris in 1900. Another designer that is closely connected to Skultuna is the silversmith Pierre Forsell, who was active in the middle of the 20th century and whose strict modernistic designs for Skultuna have become modern classics. During the 1980s, Skultuna worked with the internationally renowned designer Sigvard Bernadotte. Today, design is in focus as Skultuna continues to work with leading designers such as Claesson Koivisto Rune, Thomas Sandell and Olof Kolte. Antiques expert Peder Lam is creative director for the classic line. Together with Skultuna, he designed the Jubilee candlestick for the 400-year anniversary in 2007. Peder Lam has also designed a small night candlestick called Lovisa Ulrika. Skultuna also has a well-liked jewelry line and is the market leader in Scandinavia in cufflinks with over 100 models. Skultuna Outlet is the latest concept. In some of the old factory buildings we can now offer visitors outlet shopping from a large number of product brands. In the museum, you can see brass items collected from 4 centuries of uninterrupted production. Visit the cafe that stretches along the Black Stream and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. Welcome to Skultuna.